Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to adjust this just a little bit better here. Okay, wow, can you believe I'm doing this? It's close to midnight. Hold on a second. Yeah, it's close to midnight where I am. I'm sure it's late for everybody else too. Uh, but I didn't think this could wait. I've been tweeting with Scott Anthony for the last, hi Brandy, for the last half hour, an hour, something like that. And I also sent some messages to Jordan Sather, Destroying the Illusion, and Tracy Beans, but I'm sure they're in Z-land right now, I'm sure. And hi everybody. As you can see, I'm a little droopy-eyed myself, and no, that's okay. Hey, I've been called worse. Don't worry about it. Somebody called me Raoul. Just a typo. If you watch my Twitter and I do a lot of typos because my fingers are a little large and the keyboard's small, of course. And sometimes I just don't double check when I don't have my glasses on because it wouldn't make any difference anyway. Okay, so I guess I've waited long enough. I tweeted out, of course, that I was going to be live here, and it's probably been a little less than 10 minutes so far. I'm hoping Scott Anthony will see my tweet. He's up late tonight, too, because of what's going on. And Scott has been really important in all of this that's been going on with Las Vegas, and he and I have communicated for a number of years, actually, off and on. And so I could tell you a lot about Scott, but I will say that he's a very meticulous and excellent investigator in a professional capacity, and I have a lot of respect for Tracy Beans for the same reason. Okay, well, let me tell you what's going on because this I think is important. You've heard me talking about Q. You've heard other people talking about Q and his or their. I still say it's a team. It could be out of the NSA, but I think it's also something to do with Trump's very close inner circle as well. But that's not really important right now. And again, hi to everybody. I'm sorry I'm not. Yeah, well, no, I'm not giving up on Vegas, definitely. And I know it's late, everybody, but I just had to get this up. I better get to the subject. So you know about Q and the relationship between this Q person on 4chan who calls himself Q Clearance Patriot. And again, I think that's a team of people. And Trump. And all that's going on with the over 800 indictments, sealed indictments around the country now. All of the crazy things that are going on. Well, I'm just going to jump to the chase here. Tonight, when Trump landed at Andrews in Air Force One, he immediately tweeted out that they're praying for the people in Sutherland, Texas, and that the FBI, that law enforcement and FBI has arrived. This was no mistake. This wasn't an oversight. This was not he forgot to tweet it out and they're catching up. It's nothing like this. This has to do with a code. If you go back to November 5th when the Sutherland, Texas incident occurred, he tweeted out at that time a very similar tweet, but it was a little longer and a few more messages in it. But that's not where the message is that I think he's referring to on this message tonight. A lot of people were making fun of Trump saying, look, he can't spell, he's got the wrong syntax, he's talking about Texas instead of the shooting in California today, which, let me go back to November 5th, the Q post. It talks about false flags, it talks about 10 days, it talks about war, darkness, and those types of things. So what I think is happening here, and of course, this is real fluid, but what I think is happening here is that Trump, he said he was going to make an announcement, time to be announced, right, when he got back to D.C. Well, there's probably a cryptic announcement, which I believe this is. I think that's what it is. This isn't just a message to his Q audience, okay? If in fact he's behind that, and I think there's a good reason to believe that he is, but also to the loyal people in the government who will now be moving on the traitors, those who have possibly, the Secret Service possibly moving on people that have threatened Trump, with threatened his life, and also this whole thing with all these other pedophile. I don't know how extensive it is, but over 800 sealed indictments over the last few weeks. That's much, much larger than as Scott Anthony pointed out to me tonight, which I don't know why I didn't see it, but he's right, that Trump had maybe 40 people working in his campaign. There's no way this thing could be out to 800. So this is definitely the opposition. Okay, it's definitely the opposition. So anyway, getting back to this Q post on the 5th of November. In other words, today he made the thing about when he landed at Andrews. Our hearts and prayers go to the people in Sutherland, Texas. The law enforcement and FBI has arrived. You go back to November 5th when that incident actually occurred, and you have the 10 days mentioned in there. You also have false flag mentioned, which may be the thing in California. I don't want to put that away like that. That's, I'm not sure about that. But something is going on today. Well, it'll be the 15th. 10 days from the 5th would be Wednesday the 15th, and possibly might have to add another 12 hours to that, depending upon the timestamps and some other things. So what after Scott and I talked about this a little bit tonight, what we decided that this means is that sometimes probably within the next 24 hours some major things are going to happen. And the fact that he mentioned Texas, that could have just been because of the time situation for the 5th of November, okay? Because that's when the Sutherland, Texas thing occurred. Or it could also mean that they're moving on somebody in Texas to begin with. And there's a lot on these Q posts, and I don't want to take the time right now to go through all that. There's an awful lot of information on that if you're not, and 4chan is difficult to keep up with. The whole Q clearance thing, you got to navigate in there is very, very difficult. But if you've been keeping track of it at all, you'll know that there's been a lot of corroboration of the things that have been said in there. And so with that information, again, what I'm proposing here is that Trump has made a cryptic message not only to his followers who are following this Q person on 4chan, but also to the operators on the ground who are going to start affecting maybe some tactical maneuvers right now, some actual operations. I think they've been going on, but I think it's going into the collar phase at this point is what I would guess. So within the next 24 hours. Is that clear? I'm talking about this because I've been working with it, but I'm not sure that anybody else really gets the idea. Good guys need pics and names. Yeah. And I'm sure they've got them, All right, I'll go ahead and I don't want to keep everybody up, but let me see if there are some questions that I should address. Check it out is much better than Twit. Yeah. Like the Infinity that is supposed to come out to replace. Oh, you guys are talking about something else entirely. Okay. I would ask that you tweet this out. Oh, thank you. Iora? I guess Laura. Okay, I guess that's what that is. It's kind of hard to tell when you read these things. Yeah, I talked earlier today about the situation with Donald Jr.'s messages back and forth with WikiLeaks and how it referred to a link that refers to Seth Rich. So, they were going after Donald Jr. and spreading this information that had this, the leftist Dems were and other people trying to show this Russian collusion, and then boom, they didn't look at that link. They didn't realize what they were sending around the world. Q saying 0600. Okay, yeah, there we go. I must have missed something. Okay, very good. Thank you. Other people out there are watching this. What do you think is coming, Roy? Well, my guess is that they're going to start with these 800 indictments. sealed indictments. I think what happened tonight was Trump was saying cryptically that they're going to move within the next 24 hours, that the operators who have been, taking the names, counting them twice, taking the geospatial intelligence information about where they are and what they're doing, because Q talked about in one of his posts just a day or so ago and I mentioned it last night on my late post last night, that they know where all their people are, and they can even hear them breathing. So all right, maybe all these things that we've had in place will be used for something good instead of the bad stuff that they were planning on using against the patriots and the constitutionalists and the Christians and the gun owners and the vets, et cetera, which is what Jade Helm was really about early on. They were going to use it against us. But now Trump, I think, has switched that. Let's pray to God that's the case, and is using it. There's a scripture, as a matter of fact, I always go here, right? The pit, the Lord's talking to the evil ones, and he says, the pit that you dig for others, you will fall in yourselves. Wouldn't that be just ironic, poetic, divine justice? Okay. I shouldn't cross my fingers and toes, but I am. I'm hoping that today marks the day that some things will be happening. And somebody said on here that Q mentioned 0600. I may have missed that. Will Glen's compound be visited? Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, there's so much betrayal and deception out there right now. I don't know that I'm not even sure I'd be concerned about that at this point, honestly. Yeah, that's another way of explaining karma, Roy. Well, I've got lots of it that I got to get out. I don't know if that's what you mean, but I'm certainly willing to admit it. I think anybody who, you can't reach my age and not have been around the block a few times. Okay, let's see. Any questions I can answer? It's already been 12 minutes, and I really don't want to keep people up and thinking that we need to do this for a long time. Anything on Chertoff, the Super Bowl? That they're trying to use all of the security thing, just like they did with the airport, the TSA and the scanners and the X-ray machines and all that stuff. Of course, it's always money. It always goes back to money and power and getting the people down. Soros planning riots. Well, he didn't spend $18 billion to have that flop that occurred on November 4th. Certainly he didn't. So yeah, I'm sure that that's still in the planning. And of course, Jeb Bush said that Trump would be out of office by December. So they're moving ahead. They may, these things are fluid, as I've said often. Military operations, and that's what these are. You're moving back and forth. You're testing the opposition, you're all that. So, it may have been that Soros hasn't said today's the day attack, I don't know. Or Obama even, OFA, because he's been funding all these leftist organizations through the DOJ. We know that now, right? And those slush funds. Plus whatever he's gotten out of the deep state, from the, the money that they've been stealing and using from human trafficking, drug running and all, weapons running and all that stuff. We're night owls, Royal. Yeah, Brandy, I know. But I've been following this stuff. And when I saw that tweet from Trump tonight, I just said, nah, this is, Trump doesn't make mistakes like that. No, this can't be that. This is something more important. This is a trigger. And so I wanted to alert. Do you trust Sessions? I still can't. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm not saying he doesn't know. I'm not saying he doesn't want to do the right thing, but I think he's compromised in some way. I mean, he could be playing dumb, I don't know. But we really can't handle that anymore. We got to have people that stand up and say, this is the way it is. Is it a game they're playing that even Trump told him to do? It could be. But, I guess all I can say is we're going to have to wait and see what the fruits of it are, right? See what happens in the next little while. All right, let's see. Do you think do you think the hell the best I'll be seeing some jail time? I'm not sure what you mean. I'm sorry, Rob Lee. I don't know what you're trying to get to. Well, there have been serious attempts made on Trump. That's just the point. Some of them haven't been known. One of them, we're beginning to believe, was Vegas. Okay, there is some information there that Q brought it out that Trump may have been on on a classified visit in Vegas, and and I'll just say it now, he may have been one of the high value targets. Okay, take out, he had made some of these agreements with King Salman, apparently, and of course there was the Crown Prince and whoever else in that group would have been there. Plus, if Trump was there or some member of the executive branch, they were going to take them out. There was going to be an assassination attempt that night, and I've kept back from saying that since the 2nd of October, but since Q came out and said what in one of his posts very early on, it was like October 31st, one of the very first ones he did. He said, "Was Trump in Vegas?" It was he uses questions a lot. It's very it's basically rhetorical, but it's also a Socratic method, and it kind of messes up the algorithms. The computers see that and they go, "What are you doing?" They can't deal with it. So it's kind of a way to get around the AI and the decoders. Will Trump disband the CIA? Well, I think it's obvious the CIA is at war with him. We've been seeing some things going back and forth over the last little while. Of course, we know how it was involved in the Kennedy assassination and in Operation Mockingbird against the American people, and the NDAA and the Congress funding the CIA to be able to, and making it legal for them to lie to us and to propagandize us. I mean, obviously, the best thing in the world for the entire world would be for the CIA to be attacked by the Marine Corps. I mean, literally, drive up in their armored vehicles and have in the Army we call them ACRs, the Armored Cavalry Regiments, and the like the 101st and those types of things, all of that together, and come in there and say, "Come out with your hands up, or we're going to level the place." That'd be the best thing in the world. But we'll see. There are other ways to do things. I look at it from a soldier's perspective at this point, but and they are the enemy, and I've said that. It's on my channel, right? Again, my motto: the intel community is our most dangerous domestic enemy. It absolutely is. The shooter still could be in the coroner's office. Yeah, some of them, or at least some of the people involved. Yeah, I think though that they were too swift. I don't think that the people that were able to shoot back were very successful in my estimation on that. Okay, CIA is enemy of USA and all the world. I agree. Is there anything to the Antarctica thing? Somebody asked that before. Go look at Jordan Sather's YouTube site called Destroying the Illusion. He handles that really well. Actually, I mentioned Eisenhower's thing at Area 51 when he told them that they didn't come clean with what they were doing there. This was back in the 50s, that he would send in the First Army and level the place. Yeah, and that's what happens to happen. And I think we're going to see something very similar to that, at least with these different elitist families. Q talked about the triangle, and I'm not doing the triangle to send a Luciferian message. I'm showing you that it's three sides, right? And another guy made a map. Q explained it in a narrative, but another guy made a graphic showing that one side was the Saudis, one side was the Rothschilds, and one side was Soros. The Saudi side has been taken out, according to Q, and now they're going to go after the Rothschilds, which, guess who the Bushes are with? The Bushes aren't really with the Soros group. The Bushes are with the Rothschilds. They'd be part of that side, in my estimation. Soros would be people like Clinton and, that kind of a thing. Obama, that kind of stuff. So I'm figuring that this thing that Trump sent out tonight, hinting on Texas for a time thing to go back and check the post from Q on November 5th to give us this information. The trigger for the tactical operators to go out and start doing the roundup, and the fact that he mentioned Texas, it probably all worked together. Hopefully, we're going to see something happen, because in my estimation, the Bushes are some of the worst criminals in the world. All right, if you know anything about their past and what they've done, where they've been. Okay, mentioned United States Senior Executive Service on show. Is that big? Yes, I think that would be a part of that too. Anyone have a link for the Q stuff? Let me tell you how to do it. It's a little, like I say, it's hard to do. Go on Google or Start Page, whatever your search engine is, and type in Q Clearance Patriot 4chan, okay? And you'll see a page come up, and it'll probably throw you through some machinations where you have to prove you're not a robot. And then once you do that, you'll come up to a main page, and you want to go to catalog. It'll say catalog in one of the small little boxes, triangles there. And you click on that, and it'll bring up a whole bunch of subjects. And what you're looking for is calm before the storm. Okay, you click on that, and then you're going to have a mass of information. Some of it's Q, most of it isn't, but there'll be, you have to pick through. Now, there are sites you can go to where they've actually charted this stuff or graphicked it out, made it into one visual with all the different information there. But I don't use those because I want to see it in the entire timeline, because there might be other things that are going on. So I look at it, and it's very laborious looking at it through the entire, Q posting on 4chan. Say it, type it in, Q Clearance Patriot 4chan. Okay, go through the little robot thing that's proving you're not a robot. And when the big page comes up, look for the little box that says catalog. Click on that, and then go to Calm Before the Storm. Okay, all right. Alrighty. Well, I again, these live things, they've become kind of a habit for me, but things are happening so fast. I mean, if I had sat down and done my whole thing where I record it and then have to edit it and then upload it, I wouldn't have gotten this out very fast. And I think it was important and I try not to jump the gun. That's why I tried to get a hold of Tracy Beans and some other people, Scott Anthony, bless his heart. He got right back to me, and we verified that I'm not off in some left field here, that it really looks like this is imminent. And so after he and I got done, I finally sent him, I said, I'm going to have some bourbon to celebrate. For one thing, I can't sleep. Maybe it'll put me to sleep. They might be playing with the transmission here, because I think this is pretty critical. Somebody said that they had lost the transmission. I hope everybody else still has it. If it is from me, I apologize. There's not much I can do about it if they're playing with it. But anyway, so then Scott got back to me and said, yeah, it's a time to celebrate. Go ahead and do it. Okay. All right. You're good now? Okay, John. Well, I'm going to sign off. Please send this out. If you have Twitter, tweet it out as well. I think it's that important. I even sent it to Jack Posobiec tonight, because Jack Posobiec, if you know who he is, he saw this tweet from Trump as well and was saying he was thinking it was an oversight and he was just redoing a tweet that he hadn't sent. Jack should know better, or he does know better and he's just trying to draw attention to it without getting into detail like I am. He's still in the government. I'm not. Okay, so I can go forward a little bit better than maybe Jack can. And the same is true of Colonel Anthony Schaefer and some other people. And I won't go into any more details other than that. Okay, I'm going to sign out, everybody. Let's try to get some rest. We might need it in the next 24 hours. Like I say, this is just an educated guess as to what's going on due to these things. And when Trump put out that tweet tonight, he's got to be involved in this cryptic thing with Q. He's just got to be. I can't see how it wouldn't be the case. All right. Thanks, guys. God bless you. God bless Donald Trump. God bless the operators. God bless the constitutional republic and those who support it of the United States of America out here.